Welcome back to the Optimize You podcast. In today's episode, we're talking about avoidance, how we overcomplicate the most basic, simple things. And sometimes we avoid the things that we knowingly need to do, but don't necessarily want to do. In today's episode, we're going to go over that, give you some tips and strategy and how to execute flawlessly. Let's get into it.
Dude, I just realized as we got on here that my hair is I look like I woke up 3 seconds ago and came
on to the podcast. Looks dope. Looks like you're out surfing all day.
Yeah. I look like I haven't, I don't think I've shaved in a while. I actually shaved for a little while and then I'm like, oh, I actually kind of like a little bit of scruff.
I'm digging the beard, dude. Yeah.
I'm digging the beard. You got the goat beard over there.
Yeah, dude. All that matters is what Marissa likes for you. She might tell you to take it off.
She likes it. She prefers, cool. Yeah. So she prefers the beard. And
there you go.
It's growing on me. I used to be like a clean shaven guy. You probably look back at the first 2 years of the podcast for the most part, up until maybe 6 months ago. And I was probably mostly clean shaven. Yeah. But now you kind of do something and you're like, you know what? I actually kind of dig it.
Dude, I think why I do it is one of my coaches used to make us do it. I don't know. He thought we were the Yankees or something. Like we had to just all be clean shaven. And so when I was forced to just clean shave everything, the second I could grow it out, I was like, dude, this is awesome. This is sweet. And so I kind of been doing it ever since.
Yeah. You got how often do you touch that thing up?
I just did right before we jumped on. Anytime we shoot, like when we film, I'll do it right before.
Oh, you touch it up.
I try to, yeah. I try to just trim, keep everything nice and tight. I've been cutting my own hair since college, maybe high school.
That's why I was shit.
Yeah. So I used to have a barber chair in college. And so I'd cut all the boys. Yeah, dude. Basketball team, everybody.
That's impressive. You did a good job. I feel like if I cut my hair, you would be able to tell that I could.
Well, me too. When I first started, bro, and then I was like, I won't leave the house until it's respectable at least. So, I never had to go to a barber and be like, hey, I screwed this up so bad. I would just start easy. I would just buzz everything. You can't really mess a buzz cut up, just same length all the way around. And then from there you'd start all right, I'm going to try to fade this time, and you'd screw it up like crazy, but I don't know, just trial and error, dude, just reps,
It goes back quick, right?
It grows back. You mess up, it's whatever, wear a hat for a while.
And have you ever seen New Girl?
No.
New Girl? Oh, okay. He has, it's a funny show. If you've never seen it, it's a great show to watch. It's one of those quick, a sitcom, 22-minute episodes, kind of like The Office or Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
Hilarious. I love it. But one of the main characters is trying to cut his own hair, and he's watching one of these videos, and the guy punctures the back and just blood starts squirting out. And he's I was wondering why that had 10 million views.
Yep, that won't do it. But that's literally it. Just watch YouTube videos, man. There's so many on there. I created one probably, I don't know, maybe 5 to 7 years ago. I created one on how to cut your own hair. I was just I'm just going to show this for people, Yeah. People ask what kind of clippers you got? Why do you start this way? Why do you do this technique? I'm like, I don't know, dude. That's what they did in the videos that I watched. So I just started doing it,
Fuck, I should start doing that. Save a few bucks, save some time.
Dude, takes a couple trial and error, but then after that, it's I think about how much money I've saved over the years, now, what's a haircut now for a dude? 30, 40, 50 bucks.
I go to Great Clips. I used to pay a lot more. I used to pay $70. And it was just, the lady did not do a great job, honestly. Yeah. And at a certain point, I was like, why am I paying $70 for this shitty haircut?
Yeah.
But now I go to Great Clips and I pay $30.
Yeah.
I think it's $30 after tip.
Yeah. Dude, there's one in Phoenix that I've been to that's super good. I'll have to text my buddy what the name of it is to see if he still goes there, but they're really good. They'll do your beard and everything. It's dope. I'll message him and then I'll send it over to you, see if you've been there or see if you know where it's at. Just go give it a try.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
But I know today, big topic, avoidance.
Oh yeah.
What's good? We honestly, I don't think we've done that at the start of a podcast in a while.
Yeah.
We've talked about random shit. And so it's good. good to bullshit a little bit.
Yeah.
And, but avoidance is a huge thing, right? And like what, I know that there's tons of overcomplicating out there. There's tons of things that we do to get in our own way, right? Really, that's kind of what it is. Like we're really getting in our own way when we're avoiding. And I think what I've found personally is the things that I avoid generally come from them being like very difficult, right? Like maybe it's like it's a very difficult thing, a thing that I don't like. It is boring, maybe to me, right? It's like I avoid because it's like it's just boring. Or the biggest thing is things that I don't understand or I'm not 100% sure on, right? I don't know I don't know how to do them. I don't know, like I'm not 100% sure on the steps to take to do it. And so you kind of avoid it. And a lot of times what I've also found in that same thing is that the things that we avoid are generally the biggest needle movers, but also at the same time, they generally don't take as long as we think they're going to take. I know I've used this reference before, like on the podcast. It's probably 50, 60, 70 episodes ago, but it's where I don't do this as much as I used to, but you go through phases where I've always talked about how I use my phone, like a lot of reminders on my phone and like different things that I need to do throughout the day or different things that I want to keep top of mind. I always have a reminder that pops off, like repeating every day. It's like um, different, like random stuff that I do every day. But there's certain things I'll put on there that like it's like one off things. And it's like I find myself sometimes just continuing to move them to the next week and the next week and the next week and the next week. And once I actually get to them, it takes 2 minutes to do it. Right. But we make up these things in our mind that this task or this habit or this whatever it may be is going to take us a lot longer than it actually ends up taking. And so we avoid it. It's like we have this thing in our minds that these habits or these things that we want to check off our list are going to take like so much work and so much time when in essence most of the stuff is like really quick and then you feel productive and then you feel good about doing it and it generally leads to more things that you do that are good that move you in the right direction, but it's like that first step is difficult.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about like the things that I naturally avoid on a day-to-day or weekly basis. It's never the things that I'm really good at. It's never the things that I look forward to doing. I always avoid the hard stuff, the stuff that there's friction. It may not even be hard, but for me it might be difficult. Like it's either new or there's going to be some level of friction there where I'm like, yeah, that sucks. I'm not really good at that yet. I don't
Yeah.
want to do that. I'm going to keep pushing off. Like you said, I don't know how many times I've taken things that are on my calendar and just move them to the next day or move them to the next week where I'm like, I'll just do that next week. And then before you know it, you have like this laundry list that comes up on you. And then you see this daunting list of so many things. And to your point, it's like, I heard somebody say, I forget what, maybe it was James Clear or somebody, but he was like, if it takes you 60 seconds or less to complete, do it right now. And I was like, man, that's a good rule, because there's so many things to your point where you're like, if I would have just done that right away, like one of them was like, one thing that I hate just right off the top of my mind is doing dishes, like and unloading dishes out of the dishwasher when they're done. I'm like, dude, I despise it. I don't know why, but I will avoid it until I have dirty dishes that I need to put into the dishwasher and the dishwasher's already full. And I'm like, damn, that could have took a minute or two to empty and I still haven't done it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To your point as well, is like when you do those things and you rattle them off and understand that they take way less time than you anticipate them to do. And these are just like little small things. But then you're like, damn, I have all this extra time now. Now you're like, man, that didn't take that long. And I kept pushing things back and I kept moving them to the next day and I kept moving them to the following week. And I have this big old list of things to do when in reality, some of those things don't take that long to do. You can knock them out super quick. I think Elon Musk talks about it too. It's like, he's like, accelerate what you feel like you could do in 5 years and try to do it in 5 weeks, like condense it down into 5 weeks. And he's like, at 5 weeks, I think he used the 6 and 6 is what he uses, but either way, like condense your 6-month or even 6-year plan down into 6 weeks and see. And he's like, you'd be amazed at what you can do. And I think it's so true because I think we're just like creating these barriers for us. So we create these like things of, and we're designed for survival too. So we'll avoid at all costs if it's new to us, if it's unfamiliar, if there seems to be some danger in it or like uncertainty, we're going to avoid it by all costs, which is kind of crazy. I see it a lot in health and fitness, but myself included, and it's usually I avoid the things that I don't enjoy or don't look forward to doing. I'll find a way to avoid them. I'll find a way to do a workaround where I'm like, I'm busy, or I could justify that I'm busy so I don't have to do the thing. I'll create something else. I'll add something else to the
Mm.
schedule just so I don't have to unload the dishes. So, you know what I mean? Like, oh, you know what? I actually just got to throw my laundry. So I got to go do that instead. Like, dude, I'll make shit up. I don't know if
Yeah.
you do that.
Oh, dude, yeah. And you know what just popped into my head? I'm sure maybe you did this, or people can relate with this. But in college, a huge thing is like Adderall. People get Adderall for finals week.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
it's like, no, we need to study. Like we've procrastinated the whole year to this last week, and then you maybe take like an Adderall and like focus for. But what I always found is like I always hated doing that because for one, it just it made it so I couldn't eat, and then two, it just like I could never sleep. So I would
Mm.
try to not do that, but I did it a few times, and and I would find myself like cleaning my whole room, and like it's like you like have this laundry list. It's like, oh, I got to read 16 chapters of this textbook, and I'm
Yeah.
like cleaning my room like just perfectly, and doing all of these different things for 3 hours that don't even contribute to
Yeah.
the actual task that I'm trying to do. And that's kind of what I thought about there, where it's like that's a huge thing where it's like, yeah, we'll do all these things that like seem productive that aren't actually moving the needle on what we're trying to move the needle on that day. And that's whether it's, that could be within your health and fitness, within your work, within like relationship, like any sort of area of your life. But I think that is a huge thing where it's like we insert other easy things that we can check off the list for us to like have this huge long checklist of stuff that we did that day to make ourselves feel good when nothing actually moved forward. It's like, oh yeah, I did this and that and that and that. And what do you think are some ways that, I mean, you already mentioned the 60-second thing, and I would even say like I feel like that's a really good rule of thumb that made me think of just something I can use in my life where, but even like a 5 minute, if
Yeah.
it's like you're going to take 5 minutes, I think that would even be a beneficial thing. Cause you mentioned the dishes, and that's a huge thing. It's easy to look at having 7, 8, 10 dishes sitting there. And I know we like hand wash the dishes. Sometimes if we have a lot of stuff and a lot of like we're making a dinner, we'll put them in the dishwasher. But I don't know, I feel good doing the like hand washing the dishes, but sometimes it can be an overwhelming thing where you're looking at a lot of stuff when in essence it takes what, like 2-3 minutes to do it. It's like
Yeah.
really, it doesn't take long, and it feels good after you're done. You're like, you know what, that was a productive thing that I just did. Like I cleaned this area and it was good. Like we put all these things away. So I would almost say like a 5 minute rule would be a good one where it's like, if this thing's going to take less than 5 minutes, do it now. Then it's off the list. And that's probably most things are going to take 5 minutes or less from these little stuff that we have to do. Obviously, there's going to be the situations where you have stuff that is on your list that's going to take hours or days or whatever it is. But that is a good, do you have any other like tips outside of that to help people with avoidance?
Yeah, I think the biggest one that comes to mind is don't wait to feel like it in order to do the thing that you know you need to do. I think a lot of us are waiting to feel like unloading the dishes. We're waiting to feel like making our way to the gym to go do our workout. We're waiting to feel like get the groceries to prep for the week ahead so that we have high enough protein batch cooked so we don't have to, so we can lower decision fatigue throughout the week. Like we're waiting to feel like doing it. And I think one of the biggest things to allow you to get the action and execution is almost anticipate that you're not going to feel like it because that's your body's natural reaction, and playing a chess move of, okay, almost that's a trigger, a signal. If I don't feel like doing that thing, there's my low hanging fruit and there's my answer on what I actually need to execute on it. So almost use it as like a trigger. Once you feel that thing and you know you need to get it done, the second you feel that uncertainty or, oh man, I don't feel like doing it, 3, 2, 1, take action anyways, regardless whether you feel like it. And you'd be surprised. I think it's a lot to do with the anticipation leading up to something that we don't want to do. We over exaggerate it. We overcomplicate it. We make it this huge daunting thing. And to your point, you're just talking about, sometimes it takes 5 minutes or less just to do. And then the sense of accomplishment that you feel once you're done with it, you're like, okay, what's next? I think it comes down to, we always talk about motivation too. It comes down to people waiting to feel motivated to do the thing. And this can kind of go in that same bucket. It's like, action will precede motivation. So if you want to feel the motivation, if you want to feel like doing the next thing, if you want to feel accomplished, take that action and put it in front of motivation. Stop waiting for motivation or feeling like doing it to actually have the action occur. I think take the action, move it in front of the motivation, and then that way do it regardless whether you feel like it or not. And then you'll have the sense of accomplishment and progression. And we're just creatures of habit. Once we feel that progress and we're like, oh man, I'm making steps, I'm making strides, I'm getting shit done, even if it's stuff that I didn't feel like, you start getting some momentum. Now you're like, oh, okay, well, what's next? Now you start looking for other things. But it's all because you took action in spite of whether you felt like it or not. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I've used. Like, use that to your advantage. If you know you're not going to feel like doing it, you know you're going to come up with something else to move it in front of the thing so you don't have to, so you can put it off till later. That should be the trigger of like, oh, yep, that's the thing. That's my subconscious pointing to the thing that needs to get done. And when you do that, man, it's kind of, it'll change the game for you for sure. What about you, man? Is there any practices that you do, or is there any suggestions that you'd give to somebody that, whether it's in their health and fitness, whether they just keep putting things off, any of that you can actually get them to get the ball rolling in the right direction?
I vibe heavily with what you just said, really, where it's like I've noticed when I just do it right when I'm thinking about it, you just do it. It's an example that just because you were talking about dishes, it made me think of when most of the time when I am done eating, I'll just do the dishes quick, like do what I ate off of right during the day. And that it just makes it's like that habit. It's like you build that habit of like when I'm done with something or when something's like on top of mind, I'm just going to do it. And I found that, like you said, that you just build momentum where it's like when you start the day off with a workout and a good meal, right? A solid meal. Then it's everything else is easier throughout the day. It's like you make decisions a lot smoother. I think it's the same thing with avoidance. It's like when you think of something and you do it, then that becomes a habit, right? It's like, oh, you know what? When I don't wait to do things, I just do them when I'm thinking about doing them, or when it comes up on my list for the day, or my reminder, or whatever it is. I just do it, and then over the course of weeks, months, like you'll find that that'll just be a habit. Right? But it is something you do need to keep top of mind, because it's easy to get into the weeks where you don't, right, where everything's pushed off, and like I think that's just life too. Like I think what I've realized is that it's easy to think that like you have things figured out, right? You might like go through, you might have something like a weeks where you're like, I have it all figured out. And then like generally, eventually, like there's going to be a time when you don't have the things figured out, or you fall off a few of the things that you were doing. And you're like, oh, wait, what happened? And it's like that constant reevaluation and the constant like keeping things top of mind that it gets you moving in the right direction, where it's like maybe you fall off a little bit and then you're a little bit better the next time, and then it lasts a little bit longer where you're on top of things, and then you have some slip up or something in life happens or your job or whatever, and then like you catch yourself a little bit quicker and you get back on it. So like I think it's recognizing that, just because like there's certain people who probably are always on top of it, and I think that just comes through. It's like working out. Like you work out consistently for 10, 15, 20 years, and then like you don't think about it anymore, right? You do things right away, or you do what you say you're going to do, or you take action when you're not motivated for 10, 20 years. Like eventually you get to the point where you don't even think about it anymore. It's like what you do. And so that's kind of the big thing I would say.
Yeah, I totally agree. And one last thing that popped up while you were talking was, ladies, I know this is an example. I know the ladies love going to Target, right? Say, for example, they were going to Target and they had goals and ambitions of going to the gym instead, but they passed by Target and they're like, oh, you know what? Here comes avoidance. I'd rather go to Target. Give yourself an order, a rearrangement of the order, and go, okay, if I put my workout in front of Target, that means that's my ticket to be able to go to Target. And when you could do that, switching the order of some things will drastically help you, because now you're like, okay, I got to do the hard thing, the thing that sucks, but then I get rewarded at the end of it. And I found that to be really, really successful with a lot of my clients, to be put the thing that they want to do more and put that behind the harder thing. And when you can do that, you'll get through that thing that you don't want to do, because you got a reward at the end. We're very reward driven people. So that's a little tip or strategy that people could use as well.
I like that, dude. That's a good one. But other than that, man, I think that I don't have much else to add. I think this was good. Hopefully, you guys like this. You can use this to start taking action, stop with the avoidance. And if you do enjoy this, again, all we ask on the podcast is that you subscribe if you're not subscribed, so you don't miss future episodes. But also just share it with one person who you think could benefit from it. If somebody who has been talking about avoiding things, or that somebody who's a fan of personal development and getting better, send this over to them. See if they enjoy this, and we do appreciate you. We hope you have a great rest of the day, great rest of the week. We'll be talking to you soon.